Hello, this is Guy Siverson coming to you live with yet another ViralTNTeam focus on where I help businesses succeed by hearing industry people that are helping businesses succeed. Today I have with me Dawn Appleberg. She's going to be talking with us about how you can start a business without going into debt so that you're basically out of the game before you ever get in. Hello, Dawn. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine, Guy. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on the call. So, as I understand it, your focus is to help people to succeed in business from the very start, right?
Correct.
And that means not entering into that business with an incredible amount of debt?
Well, it's not just entering the business with an incredible amount of debt. It's forecasting what you need to do in order to grow in a way that you're not going to, cut your own legs off from underneath you, all right? 7 out of 8 businesses failed every year, all right? And when I say 7 out of 8 businesses, that doesn't mean that just 7 out of 8 businesses. That is literally, well, by my calculations, I'd say 4 out of 5 businesses a month are failing. And the reason being, people don't plan, prep, or prepare. They have no idea what they're doing when they first go in. They think they do. For instance, a manager of a restaurant decides they're going to open a restaurant. You have an individual who's been a cashier for a store for a while, decides to open up her own grocery store. This type of thing. They have a background, hopefully. Some of these people don't, but they hopefully have a background. But then what happens is that they have no clue how the business side actually works. The 3 biggest mistakes that they make is 1, overreaching initially. 2, unrealistic expectations and unrealistic understanding of what they're getting. And 3, jumping in with a ton of debt, expecting to have instant profit. What I do is I sit down and I show individuals what to do. First off, it's all individual package. You can't just do an all-one type of package for this type of thing because it depends on what they want to do. But what I do is I sit them down and show them how to phase into their business. I show them how to do it with a reasonable expectation so they understand how much debt they're expecting, how much profit they can expect, where they can start seeing red flags coming in if they need to change things. And then the final thing is just reasonable growth expectations. If you have those 3 things, then there's really very little reason to go into a massive amount of debt to open your own business. My favorite saying that I've ever heard when it comes to economics actually came from the People's Court, Judge Marilyn Mignon, and her favorite thing to say is, the cheap always comes out expensive. What happens is that people hear these, open a franchise, it only costs $15,000. So they go out and they put an extra mortgage on their home, a second mortgage. Or they get a business loan. Now, realize if you don't have a business in sight and you are starting a new business, any business loan that you're going to be offered is going to be major high APR or interest rate,
right,
high risk. And 9 out of 10 times, the reason they're offering you that money is they know that there is no reasonable expectation for you to fulfill it. They can foreclose. They get their money back, basically. They get the business back. I mean, basically it's a rip-off to go ahead and steal your hard work.
Wow.
And the other thing that happens is that these people who think they can jump into it, they go to a bunch of their friends or mom or dad or, their successful relatives and, hey, throw in the money at me. We're going to be successful. And guess what? Everybody's now sitting in a money pit because they bought way too much initially for them to handle. I think that we have forgotten how to grow. I think our instant gratification society has taught us. I mean, literally, if you think about it, when you're sitting on the couch and you're watching a TV show and a commercial comes on, what's the first thing you do?
Hit the kitchen.
You hit the kitchen or you fast forward. We no longer wait. I was experimenting the other day. I picked up a couple of games on Facebook, much to the chagrin of my friends. I know all the random stuff you get, but there was a reason I did this. There were two reasons. The first reason was because I wanted to see what somebody had told me about the Facebook games where you were actually being monitored by Facebook with them. And it turned out very true. The second one is I was documenting something. Most of these games are set on a timer because they want you to become impatient, so you throw your money into them. If you finish this task within 2 days, that's great. But if you gave us 99 cents, we'll finish the task, you get the accomplishment, you level up. And so I started looking at this with friends of mine, and it turned out the average patience level of an individual today, an adult, playing these games is 32 seconds. If it's not going to happen if it's not going to happen in 32 seconds, they either set the task and walk away and do something else. They close down the game, or they get out the wallet.
So that they can get on faster.
Mm-hmm. We have taught ourselves not to have expectations. We have taught ourselves not to be patient. That is very dangerous in the entrepreneur world. The average business is not going to see a profit for 5 years. And when I say see a profit, I mean actually one you can sustain.
Right.
The average business is not going to pay your mortgage off in 2 years. It's not, when you start it up. It's not going to put your kids through private college. It's not going to go ahead and get you that new golf caddy that you want. And what happens is a lot of these people get into the business and they think, oh, well, it's going to be a piece of cake. And then they end up running themselves to the ground because they didn't realize how much work was actually going into it. And now their mortgage is now tied up into this, so now they can take care of the house and the business, and they're not making a profit. They don't understand why. So what I do, I package individually. I sit them down, and I explain to them what they need to do. We go through the steps. I find out what their trigger is. When I say trigger, I'm talking from a business perspective. A trigger is, where is your breaking point? Where is it you say, I cannot go past this point without jumping the gun? And then we work with that. Most businesses, if you're starting out mom and pop, can actually start on a small enough foundation that you can actually grow it and still be successful at it.
So you're showing promise and hope, and the fact that our dreams can come true.
I'm showing common sense too.
Yeah.
Not everybody is going to be a Bill Gates. Not everybody is going to be, a Bryson. Not everybody is going to be a Steve Jobs. But the fact of the matter is that you can be the farmer's butcher. You can be Ken's Toy Shop. You can be Razor's Edge. So,
as long as you plan and execute strategically.
Correct. I have been.
Do you have Go ahead.
Well, prime example. Well, when I first opened up Razor's Edge, it was in 1995 when I got out of the Air Force, and I was in California. I was doing a lot of temporary work. Fell into it. I started being requested by companies because I excelled at my job. And so instead of allowing the temporary agencies to go ahead and charge 40 to 50 to 60% more than what I was making, I just made sure I wasn't breaching illegal contracts or anything, but I went to the companies myself, and I started working for them as, a contractor, independent consultant. And the next thing you know, I started landing jobs like Packard Bell NEC's conversion. I started landing jobs like Packard Bell's buyout. Matter of fact, I helped Benny Algamy put together his retirement package, which got him bailed out before it crashed. I managed to go ahead and start doing that, not just by luck, but because I started with the mom and pop. Closed my business in 2000, moved up here. Of course, everybody knows what happened today in 2001. And I instantly went back in the Army. I got out in 2010. I did not look at my past laurels on how much I was making, which I was making a good amount of money. I had to look at where I was starting all over again. Now, most people would not. They think, well, I already did it. I'm jumping right back in. I can start at this level. You can't. So, starting over. It was a brand new situation, brand new environment, even though it's one that I've been in before. So it's things like that. I take, your restaurant manager and say, no, you cannot run a restaurant the same way you manage. This is why, and I explain. So.
Awesome. I was just going to ask you for a personal example, and you beat me to the punch, and I thank you for that. Because it shows not only that you're focused, but it shows your passion for what you're doing. So I've asked several questions. The question I would also ask here is, what have we missed? What haven't we dialed in that really needs to be part of this conversation?
If you're wanting to be an entrepreneur, and I cannot stress this enough, I don't know how many reality shows we have out there that you can watch and you can see this actually happening in real life. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you cannot just cut yourself from your logical employment. You can't just cut your employment from what you're doing. You have got to grow into it. And the best way to do that is to go ahead and have a game plan. If you don't have your game plan, no matter what you do, you're going to fail.
You have a game plan. I've heard it said before, fail to plan and plan to fail.
Yes. I will also, the other thing that I'd like to stress is that success does not happen just overnight, number one. And number two, you can expect to have a lot of negative before you have positive. Walt Disney, he had hundreds of people who told him that no matter what you do, it's not going to work. Nobody's going to want to watch long-term animation cartoons. Billy Crystal had 1,000 no's before he actually had his first yes as an actor. Harrison Ford was told he would never make it as an actor. You're going to have that resistance, and you're going to have a lot of people tell you no. I have had more no's than I've had yeses when it comes to my business. And even some of the yeses turned out to be no's because it turned out that they were unethical. Get-rich-quick schemes. But if you plod along and you rely on yourself and you do not rely on everybody out there. I don't care if your brother Tom says your publicist for you. Tom's not you. Tom's not your he doesn't have a living wage relying on you to succeed. So that's pretty much it.
Excellent, excellent. So, if somebody wanted to connect up with you and talk about their business and how to get the right plan moving forward with what they are dreaming about, how would they do that?
Well, there is a business website called Razor's Edge Consulting, LLC. There is also my email of DL Appleberg, APPELBERG @razorsedgellc.com. Or LinkedIn and on Facebook, just look for Dawn Appleberg. I'm the only one out there.
Awesome, awesome. Now, is there any closing thoughts as we bring this down to a close? Is there any final words that you would want to leave our viewers with? You
can do it. I know that in today's society, we are taught that we both have to work, you have to take the kids into daycare, you have to let them go to public school, you have to go ahead and work until you're 60, 70 years old. You don't. You can do it. But the first thing you have to do is you have to change your mindset in order for you to succeed.
Awesome. True, very true. All right, well, this is Guy Siverson with ViralTNTeam, hearing yet another story that will help people, in this case, succeed forward without serious debt within their own business venture. And the speaker today has been Dawn Appleberg. If you have a story that you would like to share, that you would like to bring forward for people that are in business, building their own business, please get a hold of me on Twitter as ViralTNTeam. That's VIRAL, TNT like dynamite, EAM. And I'd be glad to interview you as well and share that story with my 26,000 followers on Twitter. Thank you, Dawn, again, and best wishes to you.
Thank you.